Donnie and Dolly. The team is supported by ableauctions.ca. Closing your business? We can help.
NHL Draft takes place Friday and Saturday in Los Angeles. It's decentralized. Here to talk about that and all matters National Hockey League, Craig Button, TSN Scouting Director. How are you, sir?
I am great. Hey, listen, there's only one thing that has to lead this program, and that's Abbotsford winning the Calder Cup in the American Hockey League. That's down 2-0, and then they got right back at it and found a way to win. And some really good performances by players that the Canucks will be counting on in the years to come. And this is a great experience. We won in 2001 with St. John. And if you go and look forward a few years, a number of those players that were part of that championship team became part of the team that went to the Stanley Cup final in 2004. So this can certainly serve as a springboard for a lot of players.
What do you think Sammy Blais could do these days at the NHL level, Craig?
Sammy had a couple of knee injuries that really derailed him. To be straightforward, I mean, he was a good player for St. Louis, and then he had the knee injuries, and obviously you're rehabbing to get to a healthy knee, and then you lose your conditioning, you lose your edge. I think that what Sammy Blais was able to do for the Abbotsford Canucks, get back to form, get back to doing the things that give you success, that can help a team be successful. I mean, for me, Sammy Blais is a player that's not going to cost you a lot and is worth every single opportunity. He's worth giving an opportunity to, because I see zero risk to him. Zero. You're not signing him for 5 years times $5 million. You're going to give him a 1-year deal with $1 million and maybe some incentives for games played, and then you go from there. But I think he's well worth giving an opportunity to.
All right, Craig, the draft is coming up. It's a big time of the year for you. You've been watching these guys all season long. Tell us, I mean, the Canucks have the 15th pick, but a lot of people say after picks 8 and 9, there's a drop-off. Can the Canucks still get a good player in your eyes at 15, Craig?
Absolutely. No, I don't think there's any question they can. When you look at draft history, it's always funny. I always get a kick, and I get a kick out of it. If you're picking 12, the draft falls off at 10. Right. If you're picking 10, the draft falls off at 8. Yeah. If you're picking 8, the draft falls off at 6. I mean, it's a refrain as old as time, and you're going to look at players that you're projecting a little bit more after the top 5-6 picks. So in most cases, but there's really good players available, and there's always been good players available, after the top 10, and there's going to be really good players available for the Vancouver Canucks to consider. It won't come down to one player. There'll be a handful of players that they're looking at, and then they'll have to make a decision on one at 15 if they keep the pick. But I don't have any question that there's a number of players that they can consider, and players that'll be really good. Are they going to be superstars? I don't think so. But at the same time, you start to look at the history of the game, and you think of a Patrice Bergeron, or you think of a Corey Perry or a Ryan Getzlaf. I mean, we're talking about the 19th pick in Getzlaf, the 28th pick in Corey Perry, a second-round pick with respect to Patrice Bergeron. Duncan Keith was a second-round pick. Yeah. There's lots of good players that are going to be available for the Canucks.
Craig, we're getting down to July 1st as well. No deals here for Besser and Suter. Suter could be looking at $4.5 million a year, Craig. Besser's got a ton of teams after him. Is it your feeling that if you haven't done a deal with Besser and Suter by now, that it's going to be tough to get one by July 1st?
No, I don't think so. I mean, it all comes down, Rick, to what the interest is from player and from team. And if there's interest and you want to try to find a way to make a deal, well, then you're going to work at it. But if a player's looking to go elsewhere, or a team is looking and to use the proverbial going in a different direction, well, then no deal means that there's probably not going to be a deal. I'm not privy to what the conversations are or what the level of interest is, but you talk about Suter at $4.5 million. Ryan Donato just signed 4 times 4.
Yeah.
Like, so people might go, oh, but you can't give Push Suter 4. Yeah, you can. Like, what based on what he did, the way he skates, I would imagine there would be tons of interest in Push Suter on the free agent market. And I believe the same thing about Brock Besser. I mean, he's a goal scorer. It's hard to score. And you look at teams. Look at the LA Kings. I thought at the trade deadline,
Yep.
the LA Kings might be a candidate to add a Brock Besser. They needed some scoring. I don't feel any less about a Brock Besser being a great fit in LA or in Vegas when you have that type of goal scoring ability.
Craig, back to the Calder Cup. Sheelov's MVP of the playoffs. Demko, I can guarantee you Lankinen's back next year, but I don't know. I can't guarantee you if Demko or Sheelov's going to be here. They're in a tough bind here. What do you do with Demko and what do you do with Sheelov's? You've worn that GM's hat. Like, what's going through their head right now? They got the MVP of the playoffs is a goalie, and they got this Demko situation as well.
Well, why don't we zero in on the Thatcher Demko situation? The Thatcher Demko situation to me is more about, what's his state of health? He's got 1 year left on his contract. And you look at what Sheelos did. I mean, Sheelos was somebody that they thought could come in at the beginning of this year, and he really struggled. But for him to go and find his game at the American Hockey League level, to be a real instrumental part of a championship team in Abbotsford, I think that's really significant. Just because you stumble for a few months doesn't mean you're going to stumble for years. And I think that Sheelos has got a pretty good record of success, and I think you have to keep that in mind. Why did they sign Kevin Lankinen into a 5-year deal? I think it's real simple. They weren't sure about Thatcher Demko, and I think it's more about where is Thatcher Demko with respect to reliability, dependability, availability. We know that when Thatcher's in the net and healthy, he's a top-notch goaltender. If I'm the Vancouver Canucks, I am sitting here doing one of two things. If somebody's interested in Thatcher Demko and we can get a good return for Thatcher Demko, I'm going to trade him.
Wow.
If we can't, I'm keeping Thatcher Demko, and he's gonna play for a year, and we'll see where he's at. But I don't see a future for Thatcher Demko in Vancouver. From me looking from the outside in, I think it's Lankinen and Sheelos are the goaltenders of the future. Whether that future's next March, whether that future's in September, that's how I see it playing out.
Interesting stuff. Let's get back to the draft for a second. You're our TSN scouting director. We talked to you about Cole Reshny. We talked to you about Braden Coots. I know he's not always a center, mostly a left winger, 6'4", 208. What can you tell us? And you see some of these mock drafts, and they have the Canucks taking this kid. 6'4", 208 out of Moose Jaw, Lyndon Lakovic. Craig.
Yeah, Lyndon's a really good, talented player, and Lyndon is somebody that when you look at the whole package, you got the size. He's a good skater. He can score goals. He can lean in, and you look at how hard it is to win. And having a bigger player with that type of skill set is always going to be something that teams are going to look at really, really hard. Do I think that Lyndon Lakovic could be a good pick for the Vancouver Canucks? No doubt about it. I think they have many options. They can look at the center ice position. You just mentioned a couple of guys. You can look at Lyndon Lakovic. So I'm going to zero in on Lakovic. And you start to think about somebody that can carve out space for Elias Pettersson, that can win those board battles, create space in front of the net, which opens up space for Pettersson. I think that's something that the Vancouver Canucks have to look at as well. Is there somebody here? And Lakovic is closer to playing in the NHL than not. I don't think he's ready next year, but I think that type of a player can not only be a contributor at the NHL level, but unlock some of what they're hoping to get from Pettersson. So I think you have to look at it through multiple lenses and understand, what does the player offer? How does it help our team? And most importantly, how does it help Pettersson and get the best out of him?
What an exciting week for you and everybody involved in hockey, with the draft coming up on Friday, and then July 1st just around the corner. Craig, thanks so much for this. We can't thank you enough.
Always my pleasure. Have a great day.